Portable TV. Come watch with me. This is a fascinating topic that's taking place all of a sudden today, and you wonder what is going on. I mean, let's bring in Saurabh Gupta. He's a senior policy specialist at the Institute for China-American Studies. My confusion, and I think a lot of people's confusion, stems from the fact that we're not really sure who the next president of the United States is going to be, other than the fact that I think most people think the count has gone not to the man who's in the White House, but to the other guy. And yet the man who's in the White House is still signing executive orders and leveling sanctions against several countries, most notably China. Can you explain this to us?
Well, I think this is going to be a busy 2 months of turmoil, not just in domestic U.S. politics, but also on the international front. I think there's outstanding business remaining, and I think they are not going to be hesitant in doing what they need to do. They know they're going to be turfed out pretty soon, and they want to leave, and they want to take things which cannot be reversed. Many of these actions, I think, will be reversed, but still they are going down that path and trying to create a legacy for themselves, if one might say that.
So it looks two paths here, really. One, the Trump path is we're going to go after China and we're going to punish them in any way we can. And now that we're kind of possibly lame ducks, we're going to go after them even harder than we would have gone after them if we'd won the election. The other part is, as a country, the United States has to figure out a way to just slow China's economy down, stop it somehow. This may be a way to do that.
This could be up to a point a way to do that, but I think it, at the end of the day, actually hurts Americans more than it will really hurt the Chinese. Here's the reason why. The sanction is targeted at some of the most dynamic Chinese companies in the private sector. They are not going to have trouble raising money. It's not that they depend on U.S. investors and on Wall Street for their sustenance. We actually had a run of this issue a little while back, I would say 3 months back, where U.S. basically put out a report saying that if Chinese private companies do not adhere to U.S. audit standards, then they would need to delist by 2022, etc. First of all, there have been Chinese companies which are still listed on the stock market and have had huge opening day valuations. First, that's one. Secondly, after that order, some Chinese companies have raised huge amounts in the London and the Hong Kong stock markets. So, I mean, at the end of the day, these Chinese companies will prosper, and it's just American investors who will not have a chance to play with these to earn some probably a significant upside at some point of time down the line.
To be fair, the administration is saying those people who are investing right now in those Chinese companies have until November of next year to divest themselves. So this really could end up being a whole lot about nothing, especially if, in fact, the Biden administration comes in, negotiates with the Chinese, and they do away or weaken this thing, right?
Yes, I think there's scope to weaken it, but in fairness to the Trump administration, if they do consider, and they do consider China as one of their greatest national security threats, it does make a certain degree of logic and sense that Americans should not be investing in their military-industrial complex. After all, I mean, it's embarrassing that, we are the enemy, and yet we invest so much in their private companies, which are linked to their military investment complex. So there's a certain rationality to that point. But as I said, I mean, we are going after some of the semiconductor companies in China, and some of the facial recognition companies in China are leading. And as it happens in military industrial complexes, there's a very long tail of private sector contractors or participants. And it happens on this side, and it happens that side. And the Americans don't want American private sector contractors to be banned in the Chinese market like Honeywell, which actually does a lot of systems integration and important work in China, but also does a lot of support for, say, Raytheon, et cetera, for Taiwan in terms of F-16 sales. So, I mean, this is a double-edged sword, too.
Yeah, and I almost get a feeling that if the U.S. pulls their money out or is forced to, there are plenty of people all over the world who are going to say, hey, that's great, an opportunity for me. And that's probably what's going to happen. Saurabh, great conversation. Smart guy. Thanks so much for bringing us up to date on this.